Is your joy for viewers. Hello, everyone. It is August 19th, and today on the kitchen table, we are going to be talking about sleep and all of the juicy details, including this weird new trend about a sleep divorce. What is that? Well, welcome everyone. This is Roxanne Harris here, the Audacious Wellness Warrior, and joining me is the ever lovely Robin Parr.
Well, good morning, everyone.
Wow, it is so great to be back. Grab yourself a cup of coffee, tea, water. We're going to have some great conversation. Remember, as always, the kitchen table is about real women having real conversations around a table like we once did in days of old. Sharing, supporting, nurturing, caring for each other, and discussing the topics that matter to women. And on today's episode, we are going to be talking all about sleep. And sleep is an amazing feat once you hit the peri-menopause years, and it seems to continue all the way into post-menopause for many years. And we want to know, I want to know in the comments, share in the comment section, how is your sleep going? Is your sleep disturbed? Is your sleep disturbed by racing thoughts, by tropical moments that cause you to throw the covers off? Is your sleep being disturbed by your partner next to you snoring up a storm? And or is your sleep disturbed because there's too much light in your room, or you have aches and pains? And the more clients I see over 21 years in my clinical practice that are entering into perimenopause and postmenopause, sleep is wild. We have just so many sleep concerns, and there's a desperation. And Robin, I mean, when you don't have a good night's sleep, it's a bit, frustrating because our mood, our emotions are off. But when we don't have a good night's sleep day after day, or sorry, night after night after night, it becomes to be almost this panic situation of how can I sleep? And what are your thoughts on that? Are you experiencing sleep issues? What are the ladies that you're talking to saying?
Well, I never actually had any sleep issues up until recently, probably in the last 6 months to a year. I always was a good sleeper. I sleep trained myself at a younger age when I was going through a bunch of trouble, and I was staying up all night with worry and my mind racing, and I trained myself to go to sleep. And it worked for me for years up until, Perry came knocking on my door. And, at first, it's a little annoying. And like you said, then you just start to get like everything is off. Even waking up in the morning and saying good morning to your husband or your kids as they're getting ready, you kind of seem to be more, a little bit not as nice in the morning. Everything annoys you. You go throughout the day and, you're just sluggish all day long. So it affects everything. It doesn't just affect, your sleep. It affects your mood, your relationships, how you feel about yourself, because you look in the mirror and you have bags under your eyes and not feeling good. And then, I've been talking to other women, our other sister, for example, who was having, trouble with sleeping and getting up at 3 a.m. and going to the bathroom and all these new things that are happening in perimenopause. And, your husband's, laying beside you snoring and having a grand old time, and you're just wanting to smack him with the pillow. So, yes, and then they don't understand because they woke up and they had a good sleep, or they'll say, "Oh man, I didn't sleep that good." So the fight is on who had the worst sleep. And yeah, it's been a very big challenge for me as of lately.
Well, and one of the things that maybe many people don't realize, and I think it's because number one, our doctors aren't asking us. And if we do go to the doctor complaining that we're not sleeping, we're more likely to get a sleeping pill or, told to take melatonin or something, or simply, just try going to bed earlier. And those things don't really work. And if anyone has tried sleeping pills, you know that it's an artificial state of sleep. Yes, you're knocked out, but it doesn't allow you to enter into REM sleep, which is really where we feel refreshed and rejuvenated, and where our body heals and repairs itself. And so you wake up feeling groggy. Sure, you were knocked out, but you don't wake up feeling alert and alive and ready for the day. And as estrogen starts declining, one of the crazy things that happens is cortisol actually rises up. And cortisol is our stress hormone. It's our body's way of trying to stop us from freaking out. And when our cortisol is high, we actually can't sleep. And this is not necessarily something we can control because it's really this side effect or this spin-off from the lowering estrogen. However, there are major studies and research into sleep. It's one of the most researched topics across all of science and medicine and natural medicine as well, because it's such a disturbing thing to people. And we know that when we can decrease cortisol, our sleep is much better. And so I want to unpack a few things that may sound interesting or like, what are you talking about? That will never work. But the research is so cool. So if you're having sleep problems, this is the episode for you. One of the things that I want to first start talking about is tart cherry juice. Now, many of you, and Robin, you're nodding, so you've likely heard about tart cherry juice.
Yeah, we drink it. And actually, even my young daughter, who's only just 19, I have her drinking tart cherry juice in the evening because it is known to help sleep.
So, has she noticed any difference, like, or has she always drank it?
She hasn't always drank it, but she doesn't drink it enough. She seems to only do it, if she had a bad night the night before, or she's got a lot on her mind. It's like she thinks it's an instant cure. And it does help a little bit, but I think you need to do it more than just one time.
Well, here's the thing in that I can share. So, first of all, we're looking for tart cherry juice specifically from the Montmorency cherry tree, the sour cherry tree. Now, unbeknownst to us, many years ago, my husband and I, my Mr. Wonderful, we planted a Montmorency cherry tree. And man, they're so good. However, you really have to beat the birds to get to them. And I noticed actually that even having just cherries cut up with a little bit of cream in the evening is very calming and very relaxing. And then I really started doing this research into tart cherry juice. Tart cherry, interestingly, can also be found as a supplement. And I have various supplement blends for sleep that actually use the tart cherry. What you're not looking for when you buy the juice is you're not looking for from concentrate. You're looking for tart cherry juice, organic and pure. And one of the brands that we have in Canada is called Patience. And it's a cute little lovely organic brand. And they sell this organic, not from concentrate, Montmorency cherry juice, tart cherry. Tart cherry juice, interestingly, targets melatonin directly. It is one of the only foods that actually contains naturally occurring melatonin, and melatonin is your sleepy hormone. It's your rest hormone. It's the hormone that not only allows you to sleep well, but it also it helps your body to detoxify at night, which is one of the primary roles of our sleep. And this melatonin helps reset our circadian rhythm, which allows our body to partner with the idea that it is nighttime, and that our cortisol should come down and our insulin should come down, and that we should actually sleep. So it's this really neat thing where it's giving us a natural melatonin to encourage our body to naturally enter into sleep. It also has components in there that decreases inflammation and soothes joint pain. And this is one of the things that I hear all the time, that women are having problems sleeping because they hurt. My hips hurt, my neck hurts, like my feet hurt. And how can we get natural anti-inflammatories? And so these purple or blue colored foods are very high in anthocyanidins, which are natural, very, very powerful anti-inflammatories. So you can't just eat 5 or 6 cherries and get that effect. Like we are looking for a therapeutic dose, to which then we can be looking at blood sugar issues, which is why I always have my tart cherries with a bit of cream, and 35% cream, to make sure that it's not spiking blood sugars. It also contains tryptophan. And many people know that turkey also contains tryptophan, which is why when you have a nice turkey dinner, such as Thanksgiving, everyone just wants to pass out on the couch afterwards, because of the very calming and very soothing effects of tryptophan, which actually your body uses to make melatonin out of, in combination with serotonin. So it actually, cold or tart cherry juice is known to increase your overall sleep time, like you're getting into a deeper sleep or a longer sleep, which is very helpful. It also, weirdly enough, causes your body to drop its internal temperature. And why this is important is because we actually sleep better when we are cold, not hot. So, for women, those of you that are having these tropical moments, being cooler can help, because the body's less likely to go into a raging furnace if the starting temperature is a little bit lower. The other thing that's really cool about tart cherry juice, and I'm thinking now I should get stocks in tart cherry juice, is that it actually decreases bone or age related bone degeneration. So, when we enter into perimenopause, many women start losing bone mass and are told that they have osteopenia or osteoporosis. And tart cherry juice can actually help with decreasing the bone loss. And Robin, we talked about this many months ago on our show about, there's over 70% of postmenopausal women that if they fall and break a hip are dead within a year.
Yeah, that's a very scary stat for sure. And often especially as the winter season's coming up, people, when you're younger, you never even thought about winter and slipping and falling. And if you did, you were more worried about being embarrassed than anything. And now falling is a real concern.
It's a real concern. And I have noticed, as my mobility has continued to improve and I'm more mobile and I'm flying around and doing all these things, I'm actually falling quite a bit because I'm literally not paying attention. I have my mind on the next, 3 things down my list, and I'm basically just stumbling over my own feet or not noticing that, you know, um, somebody washed the floor and I just come flying in and go for, a nosedive. And what's interesting is when women have a surgical repair of their hip, their death rate drops to 30%. But not every hip fracture requires surgery. And of course, with the way our medical system is right now, getting surgery is almost an impossibility, with many people waiting well beyond a year, 2, 3, 4 years for surgery. And therefore, we're into that 70% death rate. But it drops to 30% if they have an immediate repair, which is still unbelievably high. It's
Mhm.
crazy. Tart cherry juice also blunts cortisol sugar spikes, which leads to sudden and anxious awakenings in the middle of the night. So, you don't need a lot, ladies. We're talking, half a cup of tart cherry juice every night, about an hour before you go to sleep. And why is it an hour? It's because we want the melatonin, we want the tryptophan, we want the temperature regulation to ensure that when we lay down, we're ready for sleep. We're not, sitting there with our brain spinning.
And I believe you don't need much. Like you're not drinking, an 8 ounce glass of cherry juice.
Really, half a cup, and you could probably even get away with a quarter of a cup. Again, it's tart. So we're not adding sugar, we're not adding something sparkly. I mean, if you really wanted to, you could mix a little bit of just a carbonated plain water if you need that little bit of extra dilution, but it's delish.
It's very good. Like it's very good. I also wonder if it helps with that cortisol rush in the morning because that's a big problem in menopause too. And I know many women talk about that where you kind of start to stir and then you're like, lay still, don't move because as soon as you move, you're going to get that whole flushing happening. So I wonder if it would help with that as well.
Based on the research that I've done, I would say yes. So, unfortunately for me, I don't have a lot of sleep problems, so I can't really speak to that. However, I do believe that even if you sleep really well, that taking that tart cherry juice every day, every evening as a tonic, right, to give us those added benefits like reducing the age related bone loss, reducing cortisol, because again, naturally, women during perimenopause, postmenopause, you have higher cortisol because of the lower estrogen. And anything we can do to reduce cortisol is a win, including for fat loss. And FYI, I just want to put this little plug in there. If you've been doing everything and the menopause belly is still there, sleep is probably the problem. If you're not getting into the REM sleep, if you're not sleeping for at least 8 hours, you will not lose weight, period, full stop. It keeps the cortisol high, it keeps the insulin high when we're not sleeping. So I just wanted to put that in there because many people would say, yeah, but I'm not stressed. Well, stress is not just mental emotional, it's all of the physical things like the loss in estrogen, like the bone issues, chronic pain or inflammation, not handling our blood sugars because we are gaining weight and we're deciding that we're now a little rabbit and we're not eating enough calories during the day. So I want to move on and talk about the weirdest hack that I've ever heard for sleep. And the science on this is insane. And all these people know about it. And I'm like, wow, how come I'm so late to the party on this? So, have you ever heard? Many of us, first of all, go to bed kind of in this wired but tired state. We feel wired, but we're exhausted. And then you lay there and things are going, and you're like, how come I can't sleep? But I'm exhausted. So, you're going to put your body into an L shape by laying down and scooching your hips, your buttocks, right up against the wall or your headboard so that your feet are in the air and your body makes an L shape. This dramatically relaxes the vagus nerve and it shifts all of the fluids in the lower body. So if you're having any problems with swelling or inflammation in the ankles, the legs, the abdomen, this is a primo exercise. It forces the blood back to the heart and the torso, and it causes something called a baroreceptor activation. When this happens, it signals your parasympathetic nervous system, which is the nervous system that we want working when we go to bed. This is our rest, our digest, our calm, our relaxation state. It signals it, and the nervous system immediately lowers our heart rate, reduces our blood pressure, and reduces the circulating stress hormones such as cortisol and adrenaline. It's an immediate response due to the shift in the fluid causing that baroreceptor activation. That is super cool. That alone is enough to shift things dramatically for women, also for men, children, to allow them to relax to get into a good sleep. And if we combine it with breath work, it's like magic. And so the breath work that we want to look at to calm the vagus nerve would be a slow breath in for a count of 3, and then you can, count of 4, and then you can breathe out for a count of 6. We always want a longer exhale when we're trying to calm and relax the vagus nervous system. And you can do this for 5 to 15 minutes until you're really feeling nice and calm. When you are finished and you decide that it's time to go to sleep, you're simply going to just bend your knees down and roll over onto your side for a couple of minutes to allow the fluids to redistribute themselves, and just to bring everything back into a balance before you jump under the covers. So really cool with this one. It's so easy to do. You might consider you and your spouse both do it as kind of this relaxation before you go to bed. You could hold hands. You could pray. You could bless your sleep and give an intention for the morning to wake up, refreshed. You could talk about what you're grateful for, which is also well known to reduce stress because gratitude activates the 528 hertz frequency that is basically this love frequency that just naturally makes people feel good. It also reduces, as I said, swelling and heaviness. So if you have lymphedema in your legs, this is when your legs get really unusually large, and they almost look cottage cheese, puffy, cellulite, but they're fluffy. So there's a lot of cellulite and they're fluffy. It's an inflammation in the lymphatic system. It also cools your body temperature. So now we have 2 things for our viewers that have tropical moments to reduce their body temperature. It downregulates the stress response. And again, the cooler temperatures are so crucial for us to be able to sleep. This is well documented in medicine, in science. I'm going to talk about it a bit later on, but also having our legs in that L shape higher than our head also gets the weight off of our pelvic floor and decompresses the lower back and softens the tight hip flexors. So if you're having mobility issues, you have tight hips, you're going to physio for your hip flexors or tight IT band, this could be an amazing exercise for you to do. So
that sounds kind of like a good way to calm down and turn the TV off and turn the screens off and just have a moment with your spouse and yourself.
I think it's great. Many people right now are talking about a sleep divorce, and this has become a real thing, and it's a trendy thing. And I'm going to ask you for your thoughts on that, Robin, because what a sleep divorce basically is you divorce each other at night. You have your own room, your own bed, your own pillows, everything. And the premise behind it is so that you can get a better night's sleep. that your partner's not disturbing you, the snoring, whatever it is. You got, maybe you like a firm mattress and your partner likes a soft mattress. And so then you just go to different rooms. And I object to this idea. I think that it's one of the things that could really damage a marriage relationship. So, what are your thoughts on that, Robin?
Well, I have a couple thoughts. I remember being a very young girl and going over to my grandma's house and sleeping in the bed with her. And she was doing that to keep me calm so I wouldn't be nervous and scared. But it made me wonder, even at that age, I asked her why she was sleeping with me and not with grandpa. And it just didn't seem right to me, even at a very young age. Now, I'm in a little bit of a different circumstance than a lot of women, or maybe some women. My husband is away a lot. He works, out of town, and he could be gone from anywhere from 2 weeks to 3 months at a time. So my concern is if he came home and we were sleeping in different bedrooms, there would be an obvious sever in our marriage because that would be the only time we connect. Now, I'm not going to lie. He is away a lot. I get used to sleeping by myself, and so does he. And when we come home, we kind of have to, figure that out again. But we both find that we sleep better knowing that each other are there, even though we might, like kind of get used to the turning and the blankets situation and all that stuff. So it does concern me. To me, you're a partner. It's a partnership. They call it the marital bed, the matrimonial bed. I'm not sure if you're both working all day long and, he's going to golf and you're going to a knitting group or whatever you're doing and you're not spending a lot of time together, where is the shared moments?
Yeah, and I couldn't agree more. I feel, and I do have clients that have decided that sleeping in different beds is helpful. And I think it's because they've had, week after month after year of not being able to sleep as they're journeying through the stages of menopause. And they're in that absolute panic that I just need sleep. I just need sleep. I just need sleep. The challenge that I also see in my practice is when people are sleeping in separate beds, that the intimacy is not there. The connection is not there. I mean, some of them laugh and say, well, we have sleepovers. I think that you have less sleepovers if you're each going to your own bedroom. I can't see any way around it. If your partner's not there, you're not really going to get up and walk across the hall or down the hall and say, hey, want to have a sleepover, right? I just think that in this age bracket, people are too lazy to do that. So they would rather just not and try and get a good sleep. So this trending thing, and to our viewers, what do you think about a sleep divorce? Are you doing it? Have you done it? How's it impacting your relationship? How's it impacting your intimacy, your communication, your feelings of connectedness? And so I'd be interested to know your thoughts on that as well, because I do think it's a very disturbing trend, and a trend of many that's really meant to separate the married couple and leave them to their own devices. So another sleep hack, this one I've known about for a long time, and I did do for quite a while. And who has heard of having two kiwis 1 hour before going to bed? Oh, Robin. So, have you done it?
I have done it. Like I said, I haven't had much trouble with sleeping. It's just been more recently. It's actually better now. But my daughter has had trouble. Hers is different, obviously, than menopause because it's more stress from university, things like that. But I have known the Kiwi, hack for quite some time, and it actually is a pretty good way, like I guess people worry about the sugar content and stuff, but I'm wondering if people know that you have to actually eat the peel with the kiwi.
Um, yeah, Virginia is saying that she has heard about that and was going to ask. And so, yeah, it's some interesting stats. Many people don't like eating the peel because it's fuzzy, right? And, there's some concern about digestion so close to bedtime. And so we talk a lot about this with my clients. And if you've ever done one of my Rise Up challenges as well, you'll know that we talk about absolutely nothing to eat after dinner. And would say, you could even have the kiwi, as that after dinner kind of dessert, or what I would say, even before dinner. So starting your meal with it because it is so quickly digested to make sure that it just gets into the system. One of the things with kiwis is they're naturally high in serotonin. Serotonin is your happy sunshine hormone, and serotonin with tryptophan is used to make melatonin. And so this is really an important thing, that we should have more serotonin. If your gut is inflamed, you're not able to make enough serotonin and therefore not enough melatonin. If your gut microbiome, the good probiotics, are off, you don't produce serotonin. So gut health is really important, but kiwis are here for you. And so kiwis are very high in fiber as well, okay? And so when we have things that are high in carbs, so a kiwi is a carbohydrate, we want to make sure that it also has the fiber to stabilize blood sugars, to prevent the cortisol from spiking, which causes insulin to spike, and then you're not sleeping necessarily, right? So kiwis are generally quite low in carbs and sugar. But if we can pair it with fat, okay? So a kiwi with a tablespoon or two of heavy whipping cream, a kiwi with a tablespoon of olive oil, which is also well known to support sleep, a kiwi with a spoon of coconut oil or butter, right? Where we're getting that fat that also slows down the insulin response, which for me is why I'm also saying if you have it as part of your supper meal, then we're also not going to be spiking blood sugars later at night. But also kiwis, because they are high in fiber, do prevent spikes in blood sugars, as well as their crashes in blood sugars that would cause a woman to wake up in the middle of the night with a raging, tropical moment. Kiwis have been proven scientifically to reduce waking and to evoke a deeper sleep. This is because your body gets those building blocks to manufacture, to make the melatonin, and it also supports the gut-brain axis. Kiwis are known to ease digestive comfort. Or digestive discomfort, and to just facilitate a better digestion. So, personally, if you are having problems with weight, so you're trying to lose abdominal fat, you're having blood sugar crashes during the night, which you know this because you're using a continuous glucose monitor, or because you're waking in a state of panic and not knowing what's going on at 2 or 3 in the morning, or you're always waking between 2 and 4 in the morning, or if you wake up feeling like you've been run over by a truck and your brain is foggy and you can't function, there's a challenge with the blood sugars. So I wouldn't necessarily take the kiwi an hour before bed. It might look like 2 hours before bed. And I personally would combine that with some sort of a fat to stabilize the blood sugars. But fantastic. So glad that you enjoy the Rise Up Challenge, Virginia. It's just such a blessing to be able to do that for people. One of the things that we haven't talked about really, we kind of skirted around it a little bit, Robin, is the bedroom temperature. And I know that when we got married, um, I used to like turn the thermostat down to like 68 at night, and my husband didn't like that. He wanted it like at 72, and I'm like, I'm dying in this bed. I can't, because we grew up where our dad was the thermostat like Nazi, really. And that thermostat was way down low at night because you don't need to heat the house when everybody is asleep and they're, in their beds and they're under their blankets. And if, you're cold, then get another blanket. And I don't think as a child or a teenager, I even understood the kind of the rationale behind that, because we actually sleep better when we're cold. And I don't know what happened when you got married, but we're at a state now where my husband actually loves it to be cold. Once upon a time, he was like an Eskimo, like literally. When I was pregnant with my first, and I had the window and a fan open at our head and a fan at our the foot of the bed, and he's there with the covers and only his eyeball sticking out. And now he wants the room cold, 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 cold. And so what are your thoughts on sleeping in a cool room, and what have you noticed?
Oh man, I used to be your Mr. Wonderful. I could not. I didn't have very much meat on my bones also, so I really enjoyed being warm. I had everything tucked in, but my, face, never wanted my face covered up, and my feet. Never wanted my feet tucked in. But liked covers, bid fight over the covers. Now my husband says we have totally switched. He still likes a cool bedroom, but I like it cold, and the fan blowing on me and everything, and it actually helps me sleep better. I find I don't wake up with the cooler temperatures and with the fan. So I don't necessarily always need it. Sometimes my temperature is quite nice when I go to sleep, and I will have the covers on, but I know if I wake up in the middle of the night and I'm a little bit too warm, that fan is already cooling me down. So I am pro cold room.
Well, the research is pretty clear on this. So, for those of you that still like a warm room, the ideal bedroom temperature, according to science, is between 60 to 67 degrees Fahrenheit, which is about 15.6 to about 19 degrees centigrade, with the sweet spot being 65 for menopausal women. If you are fully in menopause and experiencing those hot flashes, or as I have loved to call them, tropical moments, right, it's even lower. So for menopausal women, the ideal bedroom temperature is 60 to 65, so 15.6 to 18 degrees Celsius. And the most interesting bit of research is that your body must drop its core temperature to initiate REM sleep. So if your body is not able to drop the core temperature, you don't get into REM sleep, which means you don't heal and repair, you don't regenerate, you don't renew, you don't feel awesome when you wake up. So having the external temperature lower to encourage that. We also learned, for those of you that missed the top of the show, that tart cherry juice naturally reduces core temperature, so it can dramatically help with that. But we have to get out of this, warm, cozy. You might have, maybe you can put a timer on your thermostat. Maybe you go to bed when it's warm, but at whatever 10:30 or 11 o'clock, the furnace turns off and goes down to 65 degrees, or that 18 degrees mark, to encourage that. We also know that your sleep before midnight is more restful, more restorative than your sleep after midnight. Getting to bed earlier is actually one of the ways to get better sleep. And for women, menopausal women, that are having any type of disturbances with their physical body, their emotional body, we know that you need 8 hours. This is, it's just science. We don't do well with 5 or 6 hours. Nobody does. We try and convince ourselves of that when we're, 25 or 30, right? But we're at the stage in our life where more sleep and earlier sleep, you are so much better off to go to bed earlier and wake up earlier. You will feel more rested. I know it sounds counterintuitive, and it's like, but if I just get this done, then I'll sleep better and then I can sleep in and I don't have to worry about, will I get this done? Here's the situation: go to bed earlier, get that restful, restorative sleep, wake up at 4:30 or 5 a.m., and your brain will be fully alert and alive because the cortisol will be naturally rising as it should, and you will do whatever tasks that need to be done at a faster rate, and without distraction. Because guess what? Everyone else going to be asleep. So that's, one of the things that is really underrated, is the earlier bedtime. I have clients that regularly tell me they're going to bed at 8:30, and it's just because they find that when they do, they're able to wake up earlier and actually function for the entirety of the day and feel really good.
Yeah, I think it's just a matter of switching your mindset. We're so used to coming home, it's already late, having dinner, so then you're trying to let your supper digest and you flop down on the couch after you've done the dishes and all your chores and whatever else, and you just kind of zone out and stare at this blue light and screen, and you think you're zoning out, but you're not. And then we're going to bed and we got our phones and everything's flashing in our faces, and we get addicted to the TikToks and whatever else, and we're scrolling, doom scrolling. So instead, if we start implementing, getting up into our bed with our hubby and having a little chat while we're sitting with our body in the L shape, or having, like our little tart cherry and kiwi little snack, and then doing that, it's all about routine. And once you do something, I believe it's for 30 days. I can't remember the exact, it becomes a habit. And, it's just like, you prepare a baby for bed and you do the sleep routine. Well, we need to do that for ourselves until it becomes the norm.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, a couple of last little things that I want to look at because they're important. They're I'll say underutilized. Um, Number one is blue lights and screens. Ooh, right? So when we're under fake sunshine, after sunset, our body thinks it's noon. So when you turn all the lights on in your house, when the TV's on or you're on your phone, you're watching TV in your bed, your brain thinks it's noon. The lights that we have in our society today um, simulate noontime light frequencies. So your brain gets confused, which is why for many people, they don't have a good sleep because your brain's like, wait, we just saw the sunset, but now it's noon. I missed something. Oh my gosh. And it goes into a panic state and rises the cortisol levels, right? So, really, just say no to the screens, say no to the lights. If you need a light, we can use a red light. Light bulb that blocks the blue lights. I'll put a link for that in the show notes. And you could use candles, which is a natural light, which has very little blue light to it. You can use starlight, moonlight. But anytime we have fake light coming in, street lights, car lights, it disturbs the brain, it disturbs the body, it disturbs the sleep. So we really have to look at the blue lights. I don't need to remind anyone, but these devices should not be taking us to sleep. They should not be the last thing that we do before we fall asleep, because it literally wires our brain. It releases a massive amount of dopamine, and then we just can't get into a proper sleep.
Mhm. That's why
Uh,
they call it doom scrolling.
that's what they call it, doom scrolling. I need to go to bed, but I can't. You're looking for the next hit, the thing that's going to be exciting for you. Robin, talk to me about. Virginia's has a great comment. She is appreciating her early bedtime around 8:45 and read to my red light. She's going to add the kiwi, the fat, and the L shape. I'm excited for you. I can't wait to see these other small 2 millimeter shifts. I always talk to my clients and the Rise Up Challenge participants about these teeny tiny 2 millimeter shifts. We don't need to do astronomical things. We just need to make tiny shifts. And because sometimes it's the smallest thing, like these L shapes, that can make the biggest difference. Robin, talk to me about sound machines. Have you heard about people using sound machines to support and help with sleep?
Yes, lots. And it's a very big trend, especially for using for babies. My daughter-in-law uses one for her child, especially if there's allowed, stuff going on in the house, because they obviously go to bed earlier, to kind of distract waves, ocean sounds, that kind of stuff. Myself, I prefer no noise. I do not like white noise. I like complete silence, or it actually keeps my brain awake. Um, I don't understand why, probably because we didn't have that growing up, so I need complete silence. But I will sometimes, before, if I'm having trouble shutting my brain off, I will turn into a certain frequency sound and listen to that for a few minutes in the dark, not looking at it and not, watching it or whatever, but just letting the frequency, or if I know that I've had a long day, because sometimes when it's not just that we have a mentally busy day, sometimes a physically busy day, and that it stimulates and you have a hard time shutting that down. I will have a bath and in darkness or with a candle or very, very dim light and listen to the sound frequency in the bathtub. So the water's also helping with that.
Yeah. And so, is there any frequencies in particular? Like, do you know what they are? Like,
I think it's 545 hertz. That one, and you have to research it, because there are different hertz for different things that you're going through. So some are healing, some are relaxation, some are like to open up the mind. Like, so you have to make sure that you're doing the right frequency before you're going to bed, because you don't want to be like focused and opening up your mind at bedtime. So.
Exactly. Yeah. So I will post in the comments, in the show notes, some of the better sound machines. Okay. So it's really, really important that when you get a sound machine, because a lot of them are also like quasi night lights. Okay. And so, you want one that's not emitting any type of a light, because any light that your skin perceives, that which includes your eyeballs, right, or your eyelids, it stops you from entering into that deep REM sleep. So some of these sound machines, yeah, I'm going to post a few that are really are highly recommended, because there is no blue light. They're very low in their EMFs, and they work super, super well. So one of the really cool things that we've added to this show is called, let me bring it up here. It's called Dear Kitchen Table. And we're so excited for this section of our show. You can actually send us an email. Let me just get that address here. You can send us an email at reignite@emberandbloom.ca and put in the subject line, Dear Kitchen Table. And on this subject, you can ask us any questions that have to do with all things women, menopause, marriage, whatever it is that you have a question about. And this is the time of our show where we're going to answer all of your burning questions. And I think before we started the show, Robin, you actually had gone through the emails and selected one of our viewers. So go ahead. What is?
Yeah, so we had put a post out and that we were going to do it, and someone actually private messaged us, well, a couple of people, and I did choose one for the show today because I feel like it relates to so many women right now. And it says, Dear R&R, kitchen table, I am 52 in the middle of menopause and I feel like I'm not quite myself lately. I'm more tired, my patience is shorter, my body feels different, and some days I honestly don't want to be touched. Even though I love my husband and I'm still attracted to him, the hard part is that I can tell that he takes it personally. He will ask if I'm mad at him or if something is wrong between us, and then I feel guilty because I don't know how to explain what is happening either. I don't want this to become I don't want this to become this invisible third person in our marriage that neither of us knows how to deal with. How do you help your partner understand the changes that you're going through aren't rejection, while still making sure the relationship doesn't get pushed to the side?
Wow, that's a very common issue at this stage in our life of not wanting that connection. And so I think we can both jump in on this. What I would say is, when our cortisol is high and we're constantly in freak out stress mode, being chased by a bear, overwhelmed, the last thing that we think we want is any type of physical touch. And yet, what I would say is, it's absolutely the thing that you need. There's something about the connection with our spouse and physical touch that we know scientifically, not to put everything down to science, but we know that when we connect on a deep level, that we regulate each other's nervous systems, that our heartbeat syncs up, that our breaths sync up. And so our partner, assuming that they're not in a freak out state, because men generally are more. I want to choose my words carefully, but they're generally more solid, right? Even if they've had a bad day, they're very easy to come into that parasympathetic nervous system. They come home, they take their things off, and now they can relax. Their heart rate naturally comes down, their blood pressure naturally comes down, their breathing relaxes. And so even something to maybe look at is maybe not intimacy, sexual intimacy, but even putting your head on their chest and listening to their heartbeat. It will allow your heart rate to slow down. It will allow your breathing to slow down and for you to get out of the fight or flight that you're currently in. And it can be a process. I will also say, the longer that you don't engage with your partner, the easier it is to not engage with your partner. And there's always an excuse that will come up. And then we'll get basically the sleep divorce thing happening. Marriage is about connection. Marriage is about the ability to share deeply with each other. And sometimes that sharing is literally just cuddling each other in absolute silence. And that's all that's needed to bring you back. If you can imagine, when we are on this freak out mode, fight or flight, sympathetic dominance, it in our body, in our brain, we are being chased by a bear. And if you are being chased by a bear every day, all day after week, after month, after year, you're not interested in laying down in the meadow and engaging in intimacy with your partner, because it's just something neurologically that doesn't match up with the state that we're in. Allowing those moments, sharing with your partner, your own Mr. Wonderful, that I don't feel that I want to have sexual intimacy right now. I just need you to hold me so that I know everything is okay, that
Mhm.
I feel safe.
I think that's the biggest fear, from what I hear from other women and stuff, is that um, just the uncomfortableness of their body and how they're feeling about themselves. Maybe they're in a tropical moment, maybe they're sleep deprived. There's so much that's going on in a menopausal woman at any given time. One minute you can be completely fine, and then you have a cortisol rush or crash or estrogen, like all these things can happen. So, that song, literally, you're hot and then you're cold. And it doesn't just mean temperature wise, it means like personality of being, nice to your husband one minute and then snapping and biting his head off the next. So I think the fear comes from, if I'm nice to my husband, then he's going to want more. He's going to take it as that signal that we need, we can have, intimacy. So that's where the conversations, should begin. And a really good way of doing it is getting, your feet up on that headboard so that you're laying down and you're close, you're in the bed, and you're able to have that conversation. You don't have to directly look at them. You're just trying to, say, hey, I would like, after this, state what you need. After we're done this, I would really like to hold hands or to cuddle, or if I can scratch your back or you can scratch mine. But tonight, I'm not interested in furthering the intimacy level.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think we have to get better at sharing what we need, and how we want to connect. Also, remembering to let our spouse know that they are very important to us, and that you want them to be a part of your life. But maybe it's just going for a walk holding hands that allows your nervous system to discharge. Okay. So, thanks for that, dear kitchen table letter. Robin and I have something super exciting to announce. Our new updated website has been completed at emberandbloom.ca. We've got a lot of fantastic things going on there. You can catch previous episodes of the kitchen table. We also have our Friday night date night adventure drops. And those are going to be posted every Friday. And Robin, tell us more about these date night adventure drops.
Yeah, it's very challenging to come up with new and creative ideas that don't cost a fortune or do cost a fortune. What, like, every different strokes for, different folks. So we thought that, to really engage couples and get them to play again in their marriage, most people think that once you get to a certain age, your relationship is just what it is and it's boring, and we don't feel that way. We feel that, we're in our Renaissance era, and it's a rebirth and rejuvenation. And I think that a lot of relationships struggle in this age because we forget how to laugh together and how to play. And sometimes, you spend so much time asking each other, what do you want to do? I don't know. What do you want to do? That you actually have no time to do anything. So we came together and we will drop an adventure, just a little teeny tiny one. It doesn't have to be always grand, but a little adventure to get people in the mood to have a little bit of fun, have a little adventure, and just to reconnect and enjoy each other.
And so, yeah, these will be posted on our Ember and Bloom Facebook page. Make sure that you like, share, and follow us there. And they will be posted live on our website, emberandbloom.ca, where you can go. And if you just are feeling inspired, just say yes and do the adventure. It is a done for you date night. Totally done. Different topics, different adventures, and like Robin said, to get us back into that playfulness that once happened when you were courting each other, when you were interested and passionate about each other. So we recommend going there on Fridays and seeing what that is, or following us on Facebook. Now, we also on the fourth Wednesday of the month, we will be doing candlelight conversations. So our show will happen at night. These will be the candlelight conversations that will be more spicy. They'll have more spicy topics about intimacy and marriage and relationships. So we'll again let you know on, I think it's the 26th of this month, that our show will be moved to its nighttime time, which will be having a mind block. So let me just look that up. They will be at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern time on the fourth Wednesday of every month. And this would be great shows for you to bring your spouse to discover more about that connection as a couple.
Yes, and you can also ask any questions in the chat, and any thoughts or sharing things that you would like to have topics on, for sure, put in the chat or email us or DM us.
Perfect. And tomorrow we have a very exciting thing that's happening. The first inaugural courting adventure will be live. And so this is going to be fantastic. There will be 2 dates to choose from. This will be in the Ottawa, Ontario area. We do have plans to have other locations across Canada. So pay attention, stay tuned to our website for those locations to drop. These are in-person adventures. So you will be purchasing a couple's ticket for the dating adventure. This is a half-day adventure, a 5-hour adventure, a total, complete, done-for-you adventure that helps you to reconnect with each other, reignite some sparks, some flames. It takes you on an adventure to multiple locations, where at each location there is a task. It could be something playful. It could be something where you have to figure something out. It could be something where your Mr. Wonderful gets to be your hero. And each location, there is something for you to do. And then the next location is sent to you. And it all culminates at our courting adventure soiree at an undisclosed location that you will arrive at the end of your adventure. And we will have a beautiful soiree together. There will be nibblies and beverages, and there will be some other magical moments that will happen at the soiree. So I hope that you are as excited as Robin and I. That courting adventure will drop tomorrow morning. Registration will be open. And Robin, we're doing something that's a little crazy to launch this courting adventure, being our inaugural adventure, this 5-hour done for you, mind blowing, connected, playful adventure, this date. But we're doing something special tomorrow.
Yes, we are going to offer a limited time price for the first adventure only. This will not be repeated, this price. We're just wanting everyone to have an opportunity to experience and hopefully become addicted, because there will be more adventures and more challenges and more time to reconnect and play in different ways. So we want everyone to come and experience this and just have the best date ever.
Yeah, it's going to be fantastic. One of the things that we have created is, after the live adventures, we will be creating a digital adventure that can be purchased for you and your spouse. It will have details so you know what the adventure kind of looks like, although most of it will be kept a mystery because, I mean, hello, you got to have some surprise there. And the adventures will be customized into a digital date adventure that you can do anywhere in the world at any time. And we are just so excited for this. One of the things that we know to be true is that the vast majority of couples do not play enough. They don't court each other. They don't date. And there's this loss of connection during the menopausal stages of life. And so we're excited for that. All of our adventures will include our Bloom method. So whether it's our date adventure, a digital adventure, whether it's our in-person couples retreats, but the Bloom method is what is going to create the spark that ignites the embers into flames. And it's an acronym that stands for Begin Again, Laugh and Play, Open Communication, Own Your Next Chapter, and Make New Memories. And so we are so excited about this. So remember, like and follow us, Ember and Bloom, on Facebook and TikTok. We have actually quite a large following on TikTok. The Friday date night adventure drop will happen. So carve out some time. We've got a done for you, planned for you date night. It will also be dropped onto our website at emberandbloom.ca. It's been an absolute pleasure. Love the conversation about sleep. Continue to comment and share below your sleep hacks, or how these sleep hacks and tips actually helped you and your spouse. Remember that if sleeping is really, really challenged and there's a lot of snoring going on, and you wake up feeling like you've been run over by a train, you really need to be tested for sleep apnea, just to make sure that that is ruled out. We love to end our time together with a little prayer. And so, Father, we just thank you for every woman, every couple. We thank you for the amazing journey of menopause. And we just ask that every one that listens to this podcast would have the most amazing night's sleep tonight, that they would be encouraged, that their sleep would be restful and inspiring, and they would wake up feeling absolutely amazing. We just thank you and praise you in Jesus' name. Thanks so much for joining us, everyone. And we hope that we will see you online soon. Share this video with this podcast with someone that needs to hear it.